We are live. Good evening, everybody. Happy Thursday. Yes, I was late. Had to switch the ring light around. Was working on the model a little earlier, so forgot to fix that. Anyways, hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. I am Potentially Criminal, also known as Sean. If you guys are new, I am an attorney in the Cleveland, Ohio area, focused on criminal defense, but we talk about a lot of different things going on in the world of the law. And we're going to get started in a couple minutes, but normally I give people about 10 minutes to filter in. You know, YouTube doesn't do a very good job of telling people what's going on. Other people might be doing something more productive with their lives, like taking a crap, which I totally get. And if you guys are new, you can find us anywhere besides here on YouTube on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble, Kick, Twitch, which I'm still not banned from, surprisingly enough. The Troon Squad has not found me yet. And we'll see where that goes. Also, there are people over on Locals. I want to say hi to everybody on Locals. You guys aren't aware, Locals is kind of like a well, it's actually a cooler version of Patreon, basically. Patreon that doesn't do any sort of censorship or controlling of things it doesn't like. And if you guys join down at potentiallycriminal.locals.com, you could join as a member for free. It costs you nothing. You can have access to some things. If you'd like to become a supporter, it's $3 a month. If you pay for 10 months, you get 2 months free. Or if you'd like to, you can use the promo code CRIMINAL and you get 1 month free and you get to see what it's all about. I do 2 shows Monday at like 8:30, well, 8:30-ish. And then every Thursday we do a show right after this one. We get to hang out and talk, and it's usually a fun time. Talk about all the things we didn't get to here or stuff that isn't necessarily fits the agenda for here. Winter Soldier over in Rumble saying, we will see if Rumble ghettos out on Sean. But also, by the way, I want to say the biggest things right now, we have to figure out who's first. That is the most important thing, because you ain't first, you're last. So let's figure that out. Who got first? Well, over on Rumble, it was Winter Soldier. So congratulations on being first. And then it's the hetero version of, yes. But more importantly, here on YouTube, let me see here. Who got first? Ooh, Stabby back at 4:30 in the afternoon when I got this going first. It's always the timeless option, the old reliable. So always the best option. So Toothless saying yesterday's stream made me think we were Friday. Yeah, I just, I saw it. You know what? I thought it'd be fun to come on. And I think people had mentioned before, Nick wasn't going to be on. So I was like, yeah, why not go on? May as well have some fun. And then turns out he was on anyway. But you know what? Didn't care. Had a fun time anyway. So well, you guys were talking earlier about the Trevor Bauer stuff. We'll get to that in a minute. And there are a couple of questions we're going to answer when we get to it. Unhung Hero for $2, though. We got to get the super chat out of the way. For $2, thank you so much, says, I'm going to come. Don't come. And then we have Parallax as a member for 11 months. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Says, on a scale of 1 to OJ, how much do you think JF did it? Well, I mean, maybe 1 to OJ. Oof. Out of a 1 to OJ, I'll give it to Ron Goldman. And the only reason why I say that is because even though the Royal Canadian Mounted Police are looking into it, they are a very corrupt organization, so they could easily frame him for this. But if you guys don't know who JF is, that is another story for another time. Spets is saying, Sean, I have an MR73. If you ever want to test it out, I can email you. The single action trigger is good. Oh, well, yeah, I bet it is. I've been told they're awesome. I've been told they're absolutely awesome. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. May take you up on that. So where are we? Oh, did Kick finally work? It took me forever, and those guys, yes, a website made for degenerate gamblers. Oh, it does work. Praise Jesus. I'm surprised. I am surprised it finally worked. But good for them. Good for them. You know. Joseph Dredd saying, "A judge ordered the dissolution." We'll get to that. The short answer is yes. And Garrett says, "You want me to cover the Brooks sentencing from behind a wall of document boxes?" I might get I can probably get a couple of boxes of him in the background, but I'm not going to do it from behind him because then you guys can't see my beautiful face. If I could figure out a way to cut a couple, so just make it like up to here, maybe I'll do that. So, you guys are being muted. Yeah, sorry, it doesn't work. Are you was that what was Branca's tweet? We'll get to that. That was actually a very interesting thing that happened. So I am actually very surprised that happened, but we'll get there. But yes, hello everybody that's here. Hope you guys are getting ready to enjoy your weekend. Oh, is Mean Coat? Where was he? Was he just in here? Excited Internets. Hello, how are you doing? Meme says, "Did I finish the tank?" No, I'm waiting. I can't put the treads on, and I'm working on the body. Got all the attachments put together, but if I'm going to airbrush it up, I got to do it. I got to do that as stages. So I don't have the paint yet. I got the Yummy RDC paint, the 80s camo paints. So we'll do it up. And also, I'm going to be in touch with you about Max about Johnny Somali because I've got that one partially done. Goalie saying happy birthday. Thank you. I'm glad you remembered. So, all right, guys, real quick, we'll make the we'll start off the whole Branca thing because I thought this was kind of sad. And I'm not saying it's really I don't know. I'm really at a loss for what happened here because there's no it just baffles my mind. It baffles my mind. So what happened with Branca is he had actually done pro bono consulting for a public defender's office. And I don't know if in Colorado it's done by if it's done by the state level offices or it's done by a local county office. But earlier this year at their request, he did a pro bono legal consultation with expert witness testimony for one of their indigent clients, meaning somebody who can't afford an attorney. So the public defender was involved in charge of murder and manslaughter. Normally, like he says, he charges 10 grand for this, and he did it for free, which didn't have to. Good on him for doing that. And, it says that, they won. They won. That was the big thing here. I mean, they got the dub. The testimony, it sounds like Branca testified, which is actually pretty nice. I know he normally doesn't do that, but he got an acquittal. I mean, what's more to love? The guy got acquitted. And it sounds like he went to jury trial, and when interviewed after the verdict, they used his slides, all of his instruction materials, and the jury got the right decision. They were happy with his work. They invited him to speak at their annual conference, which I do again for free, which is pretty cool, Branca. Not a lot of people would, but good on him. Then he's claiming that they looked at his social media and they didn't realize that he doesn't share their values on equity and inclusion, which he's an attorney that specializes in self-defense and firearms and law. Well, I guess this is where I'm just, I want to ask the public defender's office, like, what do you think somebody like that votes? How do you think they vote? Oh, he specializes in people who carry guns and self-defense. What crowd do you think that caters to specifically? Just think about it for a second. So somebody from their office sent him a single-space 4-page letter that was physically mailed, which you can probably smell the soy in that envelope. I mean, Jesus Christ. So they also claiming they're asking back for one of the T-shirts they gave him. And they're claiming whoever it is prohibited from wearing the T-shirt on social media. I mean, if I was Branca, I would read this. I wouldn't even ask for the poll. I would just blow it up. Now, this came from the, and he says it came from this right here, and this is the proof he provides. Jennifer Anstead, I don't know what the hell her name is, lead state training director. So she's in charge of training attorneys and staff at the Office of the State Public Defender in Colorado. And yeah, also Castle Rock. And if you guys are familiar with Castle Rock, that's Castle Rock v. Gonzalez. Yes, that Castle Rock, where the police didn't stop the guy from abducting the children. So it's the either way, I don't know what's going on with that, but if we go back a little further, tomorrow at noon, Branca's reading it. So that'll be interesting. Wait, hold on here. Okay, Nick, Mindset, Gosney, Joe, Jeff. This is Chandler. Yeah, Chandler Remington. Okay. Hayden, Nick, Nicholas. Okay, who's Captain Clay? Okay, who knows? AR Mark. Okay. Jack Posobiec and Poso. Okay. Donut operator, yawn. AK guy. Don't turn into another eye patch. Def not Darth. Yeah, Darth Crypto. Tim Pool. Oh, H Pearl Dave. Jesus. Fucking horse face. Ugh. Okay, Viva. And fucking Tate. This can't be the real fucking. Is this really Andrew Tate? I don't know. Maybe it is. Still cringe. Tate's still cringe. Oh, I'm on there. Good. Made it. Good. I made it. Kurt. And then Ron Coleman and Mark Randazza. Is that kind of interesting how you put Nick and Randazza like bookending it? I don't know. Everything is a pattern. Everything's a conspiracy nowadays. He says Branca likes Pearl. I guess. Stabby saying he got a video for me to react on locals later. All right, well, we'll do that. We'll do that. So it'll be very interesting. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Wait, hold on. What time is this thing I got tomorrow? I got a fucking hearing I got to go to. Kind of not looking forward to it because it's the only thing I had scheduled. And it's at 11:30. God. Well, I guess I'll be hearing it afterwards. I'll be listening to it. I don't know if I'll hear it live. Oh, well. If you guys want to hear it live, Branca will be probably doing it on Facebook or Twitter. Should be very interesting to see what happens. There are no coincidences. Yes. Yeah. When there's doubt, there is no doubt. That's the first thing they teach you. All right, guys. Well, we are past the 10-minute mark. We're almost to the 15-minute mark. So let's get started. Adnan Syed. We covered him before. And if you guys don't remember, he is the inspiration behind the Serial podcast. If you guys remember, kind of one of the big, original kind of like true crime things. And well, basically the story is he was wrongfully convicted. The police had an alternate suspect that was never properly disclosed. Although I know Sword and Shield had commented on it, so he knew a little more inside baseball about it. that it sounds like his original attorney was really bad, but is also suffering a lot of health problems, including severe mental issues that they didn't disclose to anybody. So the whole case was a dumpster fire. But either way, there was an additional suspect that was never properly disclosed. As time went on, the push to release him grew and grew and grew. Back in 2022, he was released. The prosecutor sought to dismiss his case, and the victim's family is appealing. And at this point, it's very weird because they're arguing, well, we didn't get notice. We weren't allowed to speak. They spoke. It was over Zoom. And I think this is victims' rights run amok. Victims have rights. And this is what it leads to. We have rights. Okay, to be what? Heard? Well, you were heard. Well, no, not like we want to. That's not how this works. Not how this works. This has gone now up to the Maryland Supreme Court. And they had to have arguments over it. They were considering whether or not his sentence should have been vacated. And the biggest issue was the right to extent which Maryland crime rights victims have a right to participate in a hearing where a conviction could be vacated. Now, that does create an issue because typically when you deal with victims' bills of rights or Marsy's Law type of issues, you can, the victim generally has to be consulted if a plea offer is made. But if the prosecutor decides to generally dismiss a case, well, for example, if you dismiss something, they don't get a say in that. And even then their say is not really like if they disapprove it, it stops it, but they have the right to be heard in court. You don't necessarily have to have a court hearing to dismiss a case. You can dismiss by motion. So that's generally not a problem. So we are, trying to deal with this here. And, this idea that his freedom hangs in the balance, while unlikely he could be sent back to prison for life. Well, no, because the prosecutor is not seeking him to go back. So it doesn't automatically nullify everything. Most likely they'd put him on some sort of like house arrest because he's been out, hasn't had any problems. He's been a free man this whole time. So it's just very, very weird. He's it's just absolutely ridiculous. Because the appellate court's ordered a redo of the hearing, and that's the thing. The victim's family, Hyman Lee, didn't receive adequate notice, violating their right to be treated with dignity and respect. Okay, fine, we redo the hearing. It doesn't change anything. Their idea of dignity and respect, the dignity and respect of the United States Constitution, the dignity and respect of a defendant's rights. I mean, that's great. We have victims' rights. I mean, when these get passed, well, who doesn't like victims? It's like having a free puppy bill. Everybody gets a free puppy and a blowjob. Well, who doesn't like free puppies and blowjobs? You say, well, I'm against this bill. People are going to think you're a cat person and a homo. Whose dignity are we worried about at this point? This is it's absolutely a joke. And, this girl's family wants a larger role in the process of vacating a conviction. What's their role? What more do they want? You don't get to approve things. Are you going to start acting as though you need to try cases now? Be involved in that? No, victims' families are a pain in the ass. Like, yes, bad things have happened to you. I understand that, and it's horrible. But you don't call the shots. It ain't your show. You ain't scratching out the checks. Like, you don't get, like, you can say, I don't like this, but that's it. The idea that they have any more to say than that is absolute horseshit. I don't like this. Okay, great. Duly noted. Your concern is noted. Moving on. That's all that should happen there. And they're arguing this isn't about his innocence or guilt. This is about us. Me. This is about us. Not the defendant who we're dragging through the money, gumming up the works over. No, this is about us. They bring up that, her brother wasn't allowed to participate substantively in the process. Well, how much is he allowed to do? How much do they want from this guy? How much do they want? What do they think they're entitled to? This is just there is nothing here. These arguments don't persuade me at all. At all. None of this persuades me. And it infuriates me. And I didn't have a chance to get a hold of the audio hearings. I'm trying to get a copy of those emailed to me. Like, they charge like $10 for it. It's like, send me a fucking email. Doesn't matter. So I just, and it's great because I will say this much: the judges involved expressed skepticism about whether, this even matters. They're pointing out, like, shouldn't the legislator decide this? Because it's not in the bill. And that is very important, because we rule that which is not prohibited explicitly is allowed. If it's not in the bill, if it's not in the law, that means it's not part of the law. I mean, that's something we've done forever in America. That which is not prohibited is allowed. Okay, well, I have all these rights. I demand to be involved in a vacating of a sentence. Doesn't say you have that right. Well, then you don't have that right. Sorry. If you like it, go have a hearing and cry in front of the legislator, and they might fix it. This part here, though, I think is hilarious. Why was the hearing scheduled so hastily? It's just the idea that maybe the guy's in prison and we should get him out as soon as fucking possible if it was wrong. I mean, really? Oh, he's been in prison for 22 years. Yeah, fuck it. We can wait another 15 minutes. No, if he's wrongly there, get him the fuck out. Why are we waiting? Why does that seem like a big problem? It's just, it boggles the mind sometimes. Boggles the mind. It's just absolute. It's a joke. It's a joke. That this guy didn't have it. He learned about the hearing on a Friday and was scheduled for Monday, leaving no opportunity to attend in person. So he did it over Zoom. Well, he's not there in person to bitch and moan and shit his pants. He did it on video. What's the problem? There is no problem. What? So he can cry and say, "Judge, don't do this. It made me sad." Ooh. That's all we get out of that. Literally, there is no change in whether he was there by video or not. And this isn't as though it's a witness where, yeah, we want them there in person. We don't want them testifying over video. This is literally somebody complaining about this. Just absolutely, and one of the judges is like, the outcome was predetermined. Well, when the prosecutor says, "Your Honor, we were wrong, this guy shouldn't have been locked up," what's the judge supposed to say? "I don't believe you. Nope. Get back in the cell, motherfucker." Like, what? Yes, if he was innocent, he shouldn't be jailed. Yes. What do you mean if we're not convinced beyond a reasonable doubt, we just let people go? What fucking kind of country does that? Thank you, Justice Watts. Fucking brilliant scholar you are. And then, yes, another judge was like, we have to speak about balancing the rights of victims and defendants. Balancing them? Not a whole lot to balance. Balancing the right of the guy who was wrongly convicted and has to be released? Yeah. That's kind of like the only thing I should be worried about in that calculus there. This guy was wrongly convicted. Well, we have to make sure the people that of the dead person, the stiff. Well, how are they going to feel about it? What? On the list of things I give a shit about in that problem, they are not even in the top 1,000. So, it was just absolutely garbage. And Syed's attorneys are right. The prosecutors didn't decide to charge him again, so that's a charging decision that they don't get to be apprised of. And he was allowed to be there. It didn't change the outcome either. The outcome wouldn't have been changed. If the guy is innocent, he has to be let go. Not as, oh my God, my feelings hurt, Judge. My sister died. Can't let him out. Someone has to be the bad man. No, Judge, you have to keep him there until you find the real killer. No, that's not how this fucking works. So hopefully the Maryland Supreme Court pulls their head out of their ass and gets us going. It's an absolute joke. So that's a shame since I didn't anticipate how insufferable 98% of victims are. Makes my job so much easier than I could have imagined. Yes, it really does when you're dealing with a defense, you're dealing defense work and victims are just acting like fucking complete fuck knuckles. Oh, makes the job so much easier. You're like, fuck you. I hope we win just to see you cry. I'm talking in all caps. Yeah, sorry. AJ is saying, why fix it? It's about vacated convictions. The fuck they need to hear from a victim if it's vacated. I agree. Yes, the victims aren't facing life in prison. Random Lomback saying if he's innocent, he's a victim too. Yes. Yes, that yeah, but that doesn't matter because it's they're the special victims. They're the victims of the murder. So it's seriously, the Wonder Pet serious. Oh. Oh no. Holy shit. This is awful. I am not showing that on camera. That is questionably obscene. Thank you, Bella. Yes. I guess you go over and join locals and you can see what we're talking about. SB Sellers has never heard a mic blown out from falsetto before. Yeah. Oh. Yes. Or instead of saying I'm for 1999, thank you. Say I'm killing it now. You're the victims. Yeah. So, Jim is saying, I don't know what it is about this case, but I don't think they actually got the wrong guy. I think he caught a lucky break because of shoddy police work. If he did, yeah, that's sorry. Shoddy police work means that he gets to walk. But at that point, I tend to believe that he probably is innocent if the police had to lie because you don't generally lie and do shady shit if the guy's like legitimately guilty. Jim is saying, while I agree victim rights bills are anathema to the Supreme or the Constitution, Supreme Court kind of says that defendants' rights are curtailed after a conviction. In certain ways, there are. You still have, well, for example, your right to have a conviction vacated because you are innocent. I'd argue that's just a foundational legal principle, so that can't go away. I get what you're saying, though. Yes, like your right to withdraw a plea pretty much is non-existent at that point. It's a discretionary thing. A lot of your things are discretionary. But when the prosecutor says, yeah, Your Honor, these need to get thrown out, it's all bullshit. The victim should have no involvement at that point. Sorry, yeah, I'd be sad. The real killer's out there, but, oopsie poopsie. So crisp and clean. Seller says, I think he did it, but what a relief they were asking for here if he wasn't being charged again. Yeah. That is that's the issue, because typically, and I'll bring up, Ohio's got we'll go through these real quick. Ohio victim Bill of Rights. Okay. So let me see here. All right. So a lot of states have these, or they've had modifications of them, because initially these became so ridiculous they violated the Fifth and Sixth Amendment rights that defendants had. But when you look at the victims' rights of victims of crime, okay. So to secure victims' justice and due process throughout the criminal and juvenile justice system, they shall have the following rights: to be treated with fairness and respect for the victim's safety, dignity, and privacy. Okay, I mean, they were already safe. Like, you're a victim, you don't have the right to get your ass kicked inside the courthouse. That was already illegal. Your right to dignity. I mean, no more dignity than everybody else in the courtroom gets. And then your right to privacy. Well, show up in the courtroom. Privacy is not exactly a thing here. Upon request and a reasonable and timely notice of all public proceedings involving the criminal offense or delinquent act, that means for juveniles, they're delinquents, against the victim, and be present in all such hearings. They have that right. Now in Ohio, this is where for Ohio, for example, it says to be heard in any public proceeding involving release, which I'd argue this isn't release, because we're not releasing him early. We're literally vacating the judgment. Like, this was wrong. It shouldn't have happened. We should have dismissed this a long time ago. So I would argue that's not a release. A plea, which this isn't. A sentencing, which this isn't. A disposition. Dispositions are what juveniles go through, because as a juvenile, you're not convicted of an offense. It's a disposition. That's why, for example, if you're a juvenile and you get charged with domestic violence and you're adjudicated delinquent, which is the actual set, like the convict, like the, that'd be the trials, the adjudication hearing, and then your disposition is your sentencing. So juveniles are, receive a disposition, and they're adjudicated delinquent and have a disposition. So you've never been convicted of a crime as a juvenile. So that's why if you have a juvenile domestic violence conviction, you could still buy a gun, for example. Or parole, and this isn't an issue of parole, or in any public proceeding in which a victim of the right is implicated. Well, a dismissal, the case getting dismissed. Now, some of you are thinking, wait, do they show up at these hearings, especially like release, meaning bond typically? Do victims show up and ask to be heard? Yes. Yes, and it's fucking insufferable. And I've had cases as a prosecutor, and I've also had cases as a defense attorney, where they show up to every goddamn hearing, and they get to talk. And obviously the court's not going to let them talk for 20 minutes, but holy shit. They also don't curtail them that fast, because then you get seen as a judge who doesn't support victims' rights. And when you're up for election in a couple of years, that gets brought up. So these victims, there are victims who run roughshod over courtrooms. Reasonable protection from the accused. That's kind of already how that works. I mean, how much reasonable protection are, is the judge going to stand out in the front yard with a baseball bat and a lawn chair? Or it's already illegal to get attacked. Or any person acting on behalf of the accused. We already have rules against intimidation. Upon request, a reasonable notice of any release or escape of the accused. Ohio already has these things. It's called the Victim Information Notification System, VINE, that you get notified when somebody gets transferred from prison to parole. Except as authorized by Section 10 of Article 1 of the Constitution, to refuse any interview, deposition, or discovery request made by the accused or any person acting on behalf of the accused. Unless they are actually a material witness, or they have information that could be used at trial. You can't just depose them to fuck with them. Full and timely restitution, that you already get that because the court makes you get restitution. But that's not new. To proceed proceedings from a reasonable delay and prompt conclusion of the case. Well, there's only one person that's got the right to a speedy trial in the state of Ohio, and it ain't you. Sure as fuck ain't the prosecutor. Upon request to confer with the prosecutor. Okay, yeah, that's not normal. And to be informed in writing of all rights. So, let's see what Maryland has. Because I'm assuming it's actually pretty much the same thing here. Yeah, I mean, it's literally, and here is from the Maryland Victims Crime Resource Center, because they're all about victims. There's so much money in the victim game. Your rights as a victim in court. You have the right to be treated with dignity and sensitivity. Your right to be notified. Okay. Your right to be present. Sure. Your right to be heard before sentencing is imposed. Well, this ain't sentencing. Your right to be informed of a plea agreement. This ain't a plea. So, yeah, it's once again, Marcy's Law is a disaster. In some states, courts had to get involved in basically gut part of these victims' rights bills because they were violating the Constitution. Because North Dakota had an example of it where their victims' rights bill ran amok and was basically an amendment. People are trying to get their, a case is working through the process. The defense and the state are trying to work on things, and the victim comes in screaming, I want the trial done today, and basically force all kinds of bad shit to happen. So not good at all. Kimbo Nice says, can I send you a pallet of Mexican Coca-Cola? Sure. Anano Mouse says in New Zealand, you can't even ask what they were wearing. Well, that sucks, but it all depends on what's going on there because you're going to be here in America. That's not going to go over well either. I mean, if your defense really is going to be, well, she looked like a whore and the defendant treated her like one. Yeah, that's not going to fly. Now, if a victim was attacked and their clothing was taken as evidence, well, then you'll see whether or not that was like hooker clothes or not. Alpha Fox's release void for vagueness. I think release is typically associated with bond or judicial release, but this isn't release. And Parallax, this is a great example. Yes, like in Florida, where all the dead kids' parents just cringed out so hard. They cringed so hard, I'm sure the kids, thank God, were already dead because they would have died from all the cringe. So, I'm catching up at 1.75 speed. Sin is saying Marcy had that case for Charlie Brown, right? No, actually, Marcy's Law came about because of Kelsey Grammer, the Frasier or Sideshow Bob. Was killed, and and there was an issue with, like, she had an ex-boyfriend and he was stalked and killed. Some things that happened. Oh, hold on here, somebody's what you want. Oh, okay. What the hell is this? What the hell is the dog barking at now? Okay, sorry. I was just seeing what the hell that was about. Had to respond back, guys. Sorry. But his, sister, was murdered, and they were kind of harassed and fucked with by the, murderer's family. A lot of things happened with it, and they've been pushing for laws to fix that. And this is just, if they're harassing you, there's laws against intimidating witnesses. There's laws against harassment. Get a protection order. The court can just look at somebody and say, leave them the fuck alone. And if you don't, I'll hold you in contempt. There's a lot of different ways around this that we don't need more laws. You just have to use what the fuck is in place. But, it's easy. Some guy gets say, well, I protect victims' rights. Yeah, good for you. Lisa saying my 13-year-old granddaughter was murdered in November. I hope there's rights for our family. There are rights. It's just literally those rights all existed before there was a Victims' Bill of Rights. And they did. And this idea that they get to come in and say, well, arguing over this man being innocently released from prison, there should be no further discussion. It's a nightmare I hope you never experience. I hope I don't. But I will just say being the victim doesn't make it any more valid of an argument or less valid of an argument. AD saying, is there a seemingly contradictory position many criminal defense advocates hold while also being advocates for the accusers in Title IX tribunals? Well, I mean, that's if you don't have principles. I mean, this idea you are protecting the system and you're protecting people's rights, well, they're not really advocates. I mean, you have to be all, when it comes to like the Constitution, it should be, you should revere the Constitution with your religious fervor and almost religious like jealousy at those who approach it and, come sniffing around the edges of it. You should look at them with a fanatical jealousy that you're protecting that Constitution. And anybody who comes up to it, you should look at them with nothing but contempt and scorn and assume they have nothing but the worst of intentions. And even if their intentions are good, that it'll have nothing but a bad outcome. That's how it should be looked at. I mean, it's all in or all out. All in or all out. There is no halfway. There ain't no such thing as a part-time crook. There ain't no such thing as a part-time defendant advocate. I mean, you defend them all. You got to defend them all. John Wayne Gacy all the way up to soccer mom Susie with a parking ticket. And everything in between. So the people who are claimed to be defense advocates, yet they let this Title IX shit run amok, they ain't advocates. Fucking sellouts. Bitch made is what they are. Two Scoops seeing Kelsey Grammer, the guy from the Pentagon Wars. Yes, but that movie's an awful movie. Crazy KK says, can I send you a kilo of Coke? Well, not now, no. Now they know, bro. Come on. You really have to ask. Jealousy or zealotry? Oh, I'm with religious zealotry, but you should also have this jealous, wanting to protect of it. You should look at people, that they dare come sniffing around it, and you should want to be selfish. That no, you don't get to touch it. You should be weary of anybody who wants to do anything to it. Not, Now it doesn't mean I'm saying go to the National Archives and start beating the fuck out of people who walk up to the Constitution. Don't do that. Don't do that. That would be hilarious to see. Like, I'm protecting it. The fat man in Ohio said to protect it. It's not what I mean. Yes, there's no such thing as a half measure. Meme says my Coke comes in liters. And get yourself a liter of cola. It says I'm smoking. That's why I was late. Yeah. So that'll be don't worry, it's probably drywall. Hey, I'll find out when I smoke it. So anyways, that was kind of the update there. Hopefully, and like I said, whether or not he did it or the police screwed up or he really is innocent, the fact it's come to the point where the court has to say, like, listen, victims, great, we're not going to keep the guy in prison because you feel sad. Sorry. Go get mad at the police who screwed up or go get mad at the real killer. So that is where we are. And it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. So once again, we'll put a pin in that one and we'll see what happens. Hold on one second. I would put the cocaine on cheeseburgers like Artie Lang. That's actually not a bad idea. I know I've heard him talk about that. So, all right, guys, this one's just a little bit funny here, and then a little bit of palate cleanser before we get on to some more serious things. So out in New Jersey, a guy crashed his car into a police station intentionally. And, there's this video of him like flying in, you could see, but there's actually far better video. And it is absolutely amazing. It's some Kino stuff. Here we go. There's no sound, but just watch this. Here's the guy already. I come to file a report. Or he's watched too much Terminator. Yes, I'll be back. Here we go. He's like, protected, sir, the bug screen. Piggly. Just zoom. To be fair, these are cops in New Jersey, so they're probably jackbooted thugs. So. It's like they're pointing at him, like, get out of there, get out, get back in the car. It's like, what are you pointing at? Sucks there's no sound. Sucks there's no sound. Sucks there's no sound. Now he is talking to the police, and I don't recommend you do that. Once again, do not talk to the cops. You're not helping yourself. Although at this point, I really don't know what more else you could do there. So, is it pointing? Yes. Yes, keeping the kids safe. That not that sign. Yes, thank God there were no kids there. Yes. Oh, Dern has got to. Yes, they're like, sir, please put your hands back on the steering wheel. Get back in the car. Oh, yes, sir, you can't park here. Parking's not allowed. Oh, yes, Eric's right. I'm looking for Sarah Connor. That guy's just an extreme renovator. Yeah, but that said, when he gets to the jail and they're like, what are you in here for? It's like, I drove my car to the front door of the police station. Nobody's going to fuck with him because they'll think he's pretty based or crazy. So, yes, DoorDash donut delivery. Eric says, do I think they gave him a good... Well, it's not a wood shampooing, it's a hickory shampoo. And that's because nightsticks used to be made out of hickory and they beat you on the head with it. They probably did at some point. I'm sure they know where there's not camera coverage in that police station and beat the fuck out of him, or they took him to the jail and proceeded to beat the fuck out of him. I mean, that stuff happens all the time still. Iconoclast should have been a Ryder truck. Well, I don't know if that guy was looking to make it a one-way trip, so. Yes, crashy but peaceful. Yes, a mostly peaceful arrest. Mostly peaceful. So with that, Kevin H says, how many donuts did I eat today? Well, I didn't eat any donuts. Your mom cooked breakfast, so we didn't have to worry about that. Garfield saying, do you guys remember when the dude showed up at a Detroit police station and got into a gunfight with the cops? Yes, that was actually very fun. I remember seeing that. That video, all that was very intense. So, Now, moving on, what happened with President Trump today? So his trial in New York for everything being fraudulent. President Trump is a fraud. He's not a real businessman. He's not worth $1 gajillion. He's only worth a couple $100 million, which I don't really get because, see, he's a failure. Makes more money than most people ever fucking make. Like, Orange Man's so bad. So what happened? Well, at this point, as somebody brought up, can the judge dissolve businesses? Yes. A judge can, if they have the administrative power to do it, they can dissolve, they can revoke licensures. If whatever they're allowed to do under the law, they do, they can seek it. Courts, for example, there's a contract between two parties, and it turns out there isn't one, then the court can dissolve a contract and say, that's not a contract, this contract's not binding anymore. Non-compete clauses. If there's an LLC, a court could say, this wasn't properly formed, I'm dissolving it. And because of that, you have to move your assets around. Partnerships. Yeah, anything that's legal, like court can, like it's a legal entity, a court can undo it. Just like your mom, she brought you in this world, she can take you out of it. You may have brought this business into the world, but the judge is standing there like an abortion doctor with the bolt gun ready to just as soon as it pops out. So that's not unrealistic. It's possible. Now, do I think obviously there's been fuckery going on in New York? Sure, there has, but for right now, they're going to do whatever they want. So the judge overseeing his trial issued an order, and it's an order that I think is important to read. So he issued an order basically preventing any assets from being transferred or new entities being created without disclosing it first. Okay. Now, where does this go from here? Well, it then goes into this case, and it goes into an order made by the judge. And the judge basically just says, hey, here's what's going on. Judge Engeron. Judge Engeron. So he has an order here that any certificates filed under, and this includes like business certificates, anything like that, under general business law, I think that's what I mean, Section 130, of any entity, defendants, or any controlled or beneficially controlled by Trump Jr., Eric Trump, Alan Weisselberg, and Jeffrey McConey are canceled. And he has that authority. And he's doing it mainly pursuant to the request of the Attorney General. So the Attorney General couldn't just go out there and cancel licenses and certificates on her own. She needs to go to court, and they have to have the right to due process. So that's why it happens like this. But yes, once it happens, the court is endowed with that. Yes, they're very well endowed. The court is endowed with that power to do things like this, to make that happen. That each of the parties within 10 days to provide the court with names of potential independent receivers to manage the dissolution of a canceled LLC. So how does this work? An independent receiver is kind of like a trustee. You find an independent party who's going to sit there, they'll sell off, because the LLC's own assets. Well, you have to sell them and you have to get rid of them. Well, it's going to be somebody who has no affiliation with Trump, because they think, oh my God, the Orange Man's so bad. So you find an independent party who sells them off for the highest dollar, has to rearrange or organize things in a way that satisfies the court order, very much like a bankruptcy trustee. So by the 26th, they have to provide the court with names of potential receivers. And once that happens, they have to notify that the independent monitor, and this is a retired judge who's been appointed to oversee actually what's going on from day to day to day. Now, this judge is, busy because he's a practicing judge. He can't sit there and monitor the whole case. So it's no different than a special master if you're having discovery issues. This is an independent third-party observer who has to be apprised of what's going on, and they have the authority to approve or disapprove of things. So that, they shall inform the monitor whether or not a third party has ownership or membership interest in the entities, and that they will confirm this with their records, okay? If they apply for a new business license or a notice in any jurisdiction, they want to reorganize, they're allowed to do that, but they have to prove it and show what they're doing. And transferring the assets to anywhere. Well, that independent person would be telling that monitor anyway. Any anticipated distribution, so like dividends, any profit sharing, things like that, or because I know some of this stuff might be trust. If a trust does a disbursement, that's considered a distribution. The assignment of rights. So the assignment of rights are, that's something you can do as well. The rights to, right title and interest to things. So if there's any rights of, any rights you may have, legal rights that you possess that, or that entity possesses over something. If they have the right of first refusal, they own the copyrights, they own this, they own that. They actually just own the rights to something, not the actual entity. They still have to be known, and because you can assign rights. So, for example, I can assign an interest and I have in something, or I can assign my rights to somebody else. I could get a hold of Kurt and say, "Hey, Kurt, I'm assigning you these rights. In exchange for that, you can tell me you can pay for them." And yeah, they talk about any third parties being involved in any modifications of existing contracts and any notice by a counterparty declaring event of default. So that's the thing with this. Anybody that is owed money, anybody that has a loan, anybody that has any sort of promissory note, this is something that typically would trigger a default. And if any party out there files a default action, they have to tell the court and the notifier. And yes, if you guys don't remember or haven't connected the dots, this is the same judge that says Mar-a-Lago is only worth $18 million. This is the biggest lot in the neighborhood. But what do we know? What do we know? We're just the little people. We are just the little people. So that is going on. I will say, getting to his Georgia case, as of right now, we talked about this last week, Trump is not seeking federal court. He will try it out in state court. Today, there were motions made by Sidney Powell's attorneys regarding the separation of the cases. And it sounds like, from what I've heard, there will be something on Monday. And I got to verify that. I haven't had a chance to check. If there is a hearing on Monday, which would be Columbus Day, normally courts are closed on Columbus Day, but if they're having it because it's special and they could spend all day on it, I mean, I'll be covering it, but we'll see if it's there. Analytical T is saying, when did judges become real estate appraisers? So let me put it like this. Let's say you have a car, you get in a car crash, and you have it. It's a special car. It was like Neil Armstrong, Jesus, and Abraham Lincoln all drove this car. So it was worth like $1 gajillion. And it gets in a wreck. And the insurance looks at it and be like, yeah, this is only worth $20. And you get an expert who says, no, no, no. Au contraire, mon frere. This is worth $10 gajillion. Well, you go to court. At some point, a judge is going to have to get involved and say, well, even if there's a jury, because the jury might determine, somebody's liable, but this is an issue of like, how much is this thing? Judge is going to be like, okay, yeah, you know what? It's not worth $10 gajillion, but it's more than $20. He's like, yeah, this, he's going to have to pick a side so he can make an assessment. Now, in this case, do I think that judge stepped way out of his bounds? Sure, he did, but that'll be dealt with on an appeal. So it's not even just that, but any kind of property, judges sometimes have to make those determinations. So that's part of the issue. Is judges will say this, and arbitrators and third parties will say this, mediators will say this. You guys are better off making a decision amongst yourselves than forcing me to come up with the answer. And that's usually a warning to them, because that, magistrate or arbitrator or referee or whoever it's going to be, you never want to let them make the decision, because there's a good chance you might not like it. So you should always be trying to sort it out on your own. Pepsi Man saying, I've heard at some point X person has to step in for literally every Trump case. Yeah. Oh, and Uncle T saying the question was sarcasm. Oh. Sorry. I didn't realize you were not looking for the actually answer. Pepsi Man says all judges have Down syndrome. Not all, but many. More like most. What's that? So the excuse me, that is what's going on in the Trump world. So, whoa, we're doing pretty good on time here. Okay, so moving on, SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, still alive. And if you guys remember, he's been sitting in jail. Why? Well, he violated bond by harassing his Smeagol of a girlfriend. And what did we learn? Well, he you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to harass witnesses. But his trial did start. So, yep, there he is. There's our boy. Look at him. He just looks so out of it. Either he is really hard on the spectrum or he is, just like sedated out of his mind. I'm not sure though. So his on Wednesday, both sides did their opening arguments. And it was chugging along pretty good. And we got to yesterday, and today, sorry. The government had 4 witnesses get involved. So the co-founder of one of the co-founders got involved and basically spilled the beans. And he pointed out, and this one guy, along with Catherine Ellison and what's the other guy, Singh here? And he started saying, I'll pled guilty to charges right after he was arrested. And we talked about that because they're all going to snitch. Saving the ass. And Uncle T gifted 10 memberships. Thank you. I'm sure whoever gets those is going to be thrilled to have them. And as he stated, they gave special privileges to Alameda Research, which was their money laundering front, and was able to draw unlimited funds from FTX, and they hid it from everybody. So Alameda had authorization to withdraw large amounts of funds as well as lines of credit that were without limit. Well, that means they took people's money to do that. And they could place orders slightly faster than the other market people. They were having that, but you know what? The funny thing is, like, Robinhood did that. Robinhood did that when it came to issues of people trying to make trades. If their venture capital firm that was bankrolling them was trying to make trades, they got to go first. The institutions also got to go first. Then the little guys got to go afterwards. Now, we're only talking about fractions of a second, but that fraction of a second is critical in trading. So, they basically just took money from everybody. And the interesting thing, I didn't know about this, but in the early days of FTX, you had to send your money to Alameda rather than FTX directly. So that's a big problem, and that leads to the books being cooked. And yes, there was a bug in the accounting software. No, they just were cooking the books and being shitheads about it because they're scumbags, and it's far more money than they actually did. I mean, this sounds like a glowy op at this point. So, they thought they owed FTX $16 billion, but they discovered there was $8 billion debt. They owed $8 billion. That is insane. But this guy here got smart because he got testified under full immunity. Rock on, man. That's how you do it, Adam Yedida. You're going to talk, your lawyer gets you immunity. That's how you handle it. He resigned as soon as he learned they were using customer money to repay creditors. That's what saved his ass. He bailed right away. So they are plugging through the trial. But remember, it's just the prosecution side so far, so it's not going to look good for our boy. He's also got to wake up every morning, too. That's the other big goal for him. So we will see. Now, it is interesting because his parents, who were very sophisticated themselves, they're not walking away from this. No, ain't nobody forgot about them. They have their own legal troubles. his mom and dad are both they're both attorneys, are having a really bad day. The lawyers that are representing FTX and everybody involved are trying to claw back the millions of dollars they made. That they were improperly used. And they enriched themselves at the expense of the group, which would be hilarious if these two dopes were taken to the cleaners. Would only be fitting, using their mongoloid son to go scam people. Oh, look at him. He's like, Ree. Oh, this is a nice suit, though. Very nice suit. Yeah, it's bad. It's looking bad for him. So, and I have a feeling that they'll be told, give us money back and we won't prosecute you. So that is the other way for them. Things might go here. Amateur comment class saying the Biden pardon in 3, 2. Well, you got to get his you got to get his son done first. Says Cale Burke saying, don't they work at Stanford? Yes, they both do. They are both on the faculty at Stanford Law School. So, yes, it was a money laundering to the Democratic Party. Yep. Yeah, Pyramid 7 saying they took, yes, Ukraine put a lot of money in the FTX, which it all disappeared. Nah, coincidence, Then you learn that a country we're giving money to because they're so broke because they're spending all their money on tanks and cocaine. They've got money to go fucking gamble with on shit coins. No. Peter Spinney says 1 painting per pardon. Darcy saying, can Trump be his own expert in pricing real estate? He has the most experience. I mean, he could offer his own testimony. The problem is he's going to be biased. You generally need to find it. You can find an expert for anything. And you'll find an expert. People like Trump, they could find an expert that could say whatever they wanted. So that wouldn't be an issue at all. Oh, Max Murrah. Hey, Max. Saying another guy Max once worked for briefly. He's also a big apologist for Sam Bankman. Is you work for Scaramucci? Wow. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Like pie maker, like, wow. Kung Fu. Verosoft says that was the money to help Coach Red Pill, and that was all lost. Yes. Coach Red Pill gambled Ukraine's money, and now they're mad at him. That's another L for the sector. That's another L for the boys. Oh, that's funny. Okay. So where are we? Hold on here. I did not delete some things. Okay. Get right. Okay, so who's as the SBF's hoe? Yes, it's her, SBF's hoe. Whoever it is, your mom's a hoe. Okay, so this one here is one I covered on Monday on Locals because it hit right at that point. But Trevor Bauer, the dope pitcher for the former awesome pitcher for the Cleveland Indians, who then went to the Dodgers, sadly, was suspended a couple years ago for 394 games. Now, why? Because this woman named Lindsay Hill claimed that he sexually assaulted her and beat her so badly she had a fractured skull. Well, he was then suspended from the MLB. The Dodgers cut him. And, well, Trevor Bauer now has to play in Japan, which is an absolute sad thing, and it's a travesty. But here we are. And his accuser has claimed, oh, well, I was willing to go to trial. She settled. She settled for no money, no admission of guilt, and insurance payout of $300,000, which she's probably not getting a lot of. So much for being a brave victim. Like, I'm going to vindicate myself. Did you get paid? No. Did he admit to it? No. Did you go to trial? No. Like, there's a reason why not. And Trevor Bauer actually does a great job explaining what happened. But we'll just go through this because they settled their dual lawsuits without any money being exchanged. And Trevor Bauer's allowed to comment on the case. So he's not being silenced through the agreement, which, I'm just saying, if you ain't a lying hoe, if you ain't a whore, that's something you wouldn't be letting that guy do. Unless you a hoe. Unless you a hoe. Which, Lindsay with her painted on eyebrows here looks like she very much was a hoe. Doing them hoe activities with hoe tendencies because hoes are her friends and hoes are her enemies. With them hoe energies to do what they do and blew what they blew and screw what they screw. That's why you take a hoe to a hotel. Anyway, we're going to get to Trevor Bauer talking about it because this is fucking heartbreaking what happens here. And I want you guys to hear it because this guy had his life fucking ruined. Yeah, sure, he's in Japan and he could say, hi, I have a big American penis. And all the Japanese girls are like, oh, me so honey. We love American penis. Like, sure, that's great. He's the Keme Mutombo in a land of midgets. But it still sucks. Because he could have, he's missed the prime of his career. These past couple of years, he would have been awesome at his job. But he talks about it. And this body, it's the body of a text message. This is how stuff, when it's forensically downloaded, gets released. So here we go.
Next victim, star pitcher for the Dodgers. A text Lindsay Hill sent to a friend before she ever even met me. What should I steal? She asked another in reference to visiting my house for the first time. The answer? Take his money. So how might that work? I'm going to his house Wednesday, she said. I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll. Then, after the first time we met, net worth is 51 mil, she said. Bitch, you better secure the bag, was the response. But how is she going to do that? Need daddy to choke me out, she said, being an absolute whore to try to get in on his 51 million.
Foreshadowing. At least she admits her role.
Read another text. Then, after the second time we met, former Padres pitcher Jacob Nix told her, you got to get this bag. I'll give you $50,000, Lindsay replied. Her AA sponsor asked her at one point, do you feel a tiny bit guilty?
So she's a whore and also she's a drunk.
Not really, she replied. Since then, her legal team has approached me multiple times about coming to a financial settlement. But as I have done since day one, I refuse to pay her even a single cent. In August of 2021, Lindsay Hill's claims were heard in court. And during those legal proceedings, critical information was deliberately and unlawfully concealed from me and my legal team. Information like this video, which was taken by Lindsay Hill herself the morning after she claimed she was brutally attacked, emotionally traumatized, and desperate to get away from me. And now we have the metadata, so there can be no dispute. It was taken mere minutes before she left my house on the morning of May 16th, 2021, without my knowledge or consent, of course. In it, you can see her lying in bed next to me while I'm sleeping, smirking at the camera without a care in the world, or any marks on her face. I think it paints a pretty clear picture of what actually happened the evening of May 15th and why the video was originally concealed from us.
Yeah, love those painted eyebrows, Lindsay. But yes, and he'll explain why this video is very important. Because she claims she was beaten and attacked by Trevor Bauer, by such a bad guy. Yeah, she looks like she got beat up, huh?
Yeah. After hearing the evidence available to her,
there's a reason why her attorneys made her settle. Because they realize they're going to get fucking killed.
Judge Diana Gold-Saltman found that Lindsay Hill had misled the court. She found her claims to be materially misleading. She denied her request for a domestic violence restraining order, and she found that no sexual assault or non-consensual conduct took place. Now, Some of you might not know about restraining order hearings. I know I didn't, but I've since learned that it's extremely rare for a request for a restraining order to be denied because the standard of proof that you need to obtain one is extremely low.
Very true. It is very true. It's very easy to get one. It's very hard to defeat them because of that burden of proof. But it's also the idea that if you're the judge, magistrate, or hearing officer doing it, you don't want to be seen as the person who denied it and then the lady gets killed. Because then guess who's knocking on your door with the I-team at 7 o'clock one night while your family's eating dinner? Why'd you let this woman die, sir? Because everybody likes to keep their job and not get fired.
So you can make of that what you will. The fact is, I was never arrested. I was never charged with a crime, and I won the only legal proceeding that took place without my side of the story even being heard. And most importantly, as I've said from day one, I never sexually assaulted Lindsay Hill, or anyone else for that matter. So I sued her, which prompted her to countersue me. Quite frankly, regardless of the outcome in court, I've paid significantly more in legal fees than Lindsay Hill could ever pay me in her entire life. And I knew that would be the case going in.
That's a really sick burn saying, listen, you dumb whore. I'm going to spend more money paying my attorneys than you'll ever hope to make in your life. Unless you happen to be you get better at being a whore and shake somebody down. But he's like, I'm not counting on you being able to whore your way to make more money here. That's impressive. And he's just like, fuck it. This bitch ain't going to pay me. But he does have fuck you money. I mean, what is Trevor Bauer's net worth? Net worth. Trevor Bauer's net worth is, right now, what is it? As of 2022, it was $60 million.
But the lawsuit was never about the money for me. It was the only way for me to obtain critical information to clear my name. The discovery process in that lawsuit recently concluded, at which point Lindsay Hill's legal team again came to us with another proposal to resolve the case. This time, however, they weren't seeking any money from me. Having received much of the information that had been hidden from us, a small portion of which I've referenced here, I was willing to agree to the terms proposed. Both parties would drop their respective lawsuits. And
now notice that is very, very critical. Her attorney said, look, can we just walk out of here like no harm, no foul? Trevor's like, yeah, sure, but I get to talk all the shit I want. They're like, yeah, whatever. That's because they know they're fucked and they're in trouble. Especially somebody who's hiding evidence. Oh boy, that's not good.
And neither of us would pay either side any money. I also retained my right to speak publicly about the case, something I have not been at liberty to do since June of 2021. So, as of today, both lawsuits have been settled. Now, over the last 2 years, I've been forced to defend my integrity and my reputation in a very public setting. But hopefully this is the last time I have to do so, as I'd prefer to just remain focused on doing my job, winning baseball games and entertaining fans around the world. So today, I'm happy to be moving on with my life.
Right on, King. Right on. And for how this all turned out for him, it's very interesting because she got interviewed by the Blaze here. And
lawsuit stemming from an alleged sexual assault. And Bauer.
Some of this, just you can listen to her for a couple minutes and you could just tell she's a scumbag. This is not Lindsay Hill. This is Sarah Gonzalez.
Bauer's recent video in which he admittedly you were chasing after several high-profile, wealthy baseball players. Trevor says everything was completely consensual. He also released these text messages that came out in court indicating that you had planned the whole thing out. So I want to read some of these texts from you.
Now, this is interesting. Let's just listen to her give excuses about things.
To a friend between the two of you before you met Trevor, this one. Next victim, star pitcher for the Dodgers. Okay. Victim is an interesting choice of words. I'm going to allow you a chance to explain yourself. But after you agreed to meet, you asked your friend what you should steal. Your friend answered his money. He says, another one from you to a friend, I'm going to his house Wednesday. I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll. With a screenshot in which you told him, tryouts don't scare me, Bauer. Pick a day and I am there. Here are some more after you and Trevor met up. Net worth is $51 million, to which your friend responds, bitch, you better secure that bag. Your text, need daddy to choke me out, being an absolute whore to try to get in on his $51 million. You say this wasn't a setup. How can you expect anyone to believe that?
That's a great question. I really appreciate you having me on to even have this conversation.
Notice she does that bullshit Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity for me to explain why what I said and acted like a whore. I wasn't acting like a whore, talking like a whore. Notice that's the press officer rehearsed answer right there.
Obviously, there's a lot going on around this, so I really appreciate people who are asking questions about it. The first thing I want to say is, I think that Trevor did this intentionally with the text messages and how he framed this video.
Yes, he did it intentionally because you're a fucking liar. He had to clear his name because you ruined his career. You ruined his life. The entire, a lot of people all over the world thought he beat and, raped women because of you. Why wouldn't he do this? You ruined his life, lady. Of course he's going to fight back.
There's several things in it that are not correct. And I just want to start out by saying, it's so valid for people to question those text messages.
Notice she's not explaining what's not correct, because that would be defamation if she called him a fucking liar. And she knows better. Like, her attorneys are like, listen, I'm sure the attorneys, once they realize there's no money in this, like, look, you better not fucking call him a liar and say, like, explicitly point things out, because he'll fucking sue you into poverty. Because Trevor Bauer, as somebody pointed out, he had a $100 million contract in Japan. So he's got a lot of fuck you money, and he could probably pay Yakuza guys to go after her. But, she's not explicitly stating what's wrong because, well, that would open you up to defamation.
But the root of the problem here is that he is presenting this as one conversation, when in reality he had thousands of messages to choose from, took those, made it look sequential, which it was not. There is no combined screenshot of those things going on one after the other. And as I said last night as well,
you could show us those yourself, but notice she won't.
There's no text message that ever exists. Otherwise he would have, put it out there, combining, anything about a setup through rough sex, finances, all in one. Those were handpicked, and they were from multiple different conversations, all before we met up. And I think that the video in general doesn't even talk about what actually happened between us two, which is what would have come out during a jury trial.
It doesn't talk about what happened. No, she's not saying what would have happened, because that'd be defamation. If you settled for no money, that's not the power move, honey. That ain't the boss bitch move. That ain't the strong dick move. That ain't the big dick energy move. That's not what happens when your balls spark when you walk around. They're just dragging in the dirt. That's not how a player plays, or a pimp pimps, or a hustler hustles. Like, oh no, we're just gonna go back to like it never happened. Sorry. Nobody believes you, ho. Nobody believes you. And I just wanted to get to that part. She's like, well, that would have come out of trial. It's like, what? That you were lying, ho? And it's just, there's this thing, I'm not 100% sure if it's her, but this is allegedly her at a concert. Which it's funny, because if this really is her, she's got a beer can, which, like, that AA is really paying off.
Me too. No, actually, fuck you.
This is reported to be her. I don't know if it's truly her or not.
Actually, I'm sorry.
How you doing? That metro's coming.
Well, I want to make sure that nothing happens. You can go. No, you can go. Yes, ma'am. No, I don't.
She's drunk already.
I don't know. This annoying chick or the chick with the flat brim hat. It's like, do you want Godzilla or Mothra to win? It's like, pick your poison there. Oh, Max. Okay, so Max is okay. He didn't. In Japan he only got $3 million. Oh, I thought they like took his contract up. Oh, that's sad. That's sad. So he may have had 102-year $3 million, but because of this, yeah, he lost. Oh, and they didn't. He only got 3 years, $3 million a year. Oh, that's no good. That's no good. Why can't you guys help him out and be like, we respect you, because you are so big, very tall American man. So, oh. William saying, why did Sean's girl voice just sound like his normal voice? I don't know. So, my voice sounds like my lady voice sounds like Mr. Bill. Yes. Yes. Is Cale Burke is saying, was that the whole thing about hose? No, that's from Use a Hoe by Ludacris. Yeah, she also did a thing with Prime Time with Alex Stein on Prime Time. So where did it go? But yes, and I will say Max did send me this. I thought it was interesting. We can just look at it real quick. Trevor Bauer has been like, they love him over there. Apparently, he like the big time over there. Where is it? Yeah, and it's this guy named Robert Whitting. He says, yeah, Trevor Bauer's found a home in Japan. He yes, working for the Yokohama. I think they're the Bombers, which is really kind of interesting because, like, you know, Yokohama did get bombed a lot. So yes, but he's turned into Mr. Baseball, literally. Yes, Lars saying he's too boku for the Japanese women. Yeah, Pike says there's no bruises, broken lip, or choke marks. There were none. And in fact, she claims she had suffered like severe medical injuries, like a fracture to her skull and like really dangerous medical things that a reporter had actually published as well, claiming she had the medical documents. But when they got the medical documents from her, there were no injuries because she's a lying hoe. Toothless saying, no, she used Amica cream. That's a shame, since I don't understand how these attorneys can even ethically ask this dude for money. Fucking gross. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just, it was really bad. Let's see here. Where were you guys? Yes, Justin Smith saying he has negative $10 million after paying the lawyers. Yes. His lawyers definitely got paid well. Her lawyers, though, were working on contingency and they didn't get a dime, which, yeah, that's the issue when you're doing personal injury. It's whale hunting. Sometimes you get the whale, sometimes you don't. Yeah, 2 scoops. Yes, he wanted the discovery. And this is one of those times where the discovery is a scary thing. Getting to discovery, because then everybody knows your secrets. Well, Trevor got them, and then that was good enough. But notice they came to him with the settlement. You know, you don't make a settlement like that if you think you're holding the cards. Yes, that's such a great question. Thank you for bringing it up. I'm glad you're giving me the time. Max is saying her dad, Rich Hill, is the baseball coach for the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. Don't know how she ended up in Evil Thought. Yeah, that sucks. It's gotta suck that you're such a nice guy and your daughter's just a complete hoe. Yeah. Oh, the Bay Stars, not the Bombers, the Bay Stars. Okay. I was like, I misread that. So why are they called the Bay Stars? Like, is it like a Baywatch thing? Is that like do they have cheerleaders and they're all wearing the red, swim trunks? Alpha Fox saying he never stated that it was sequential. Yeah, well, notice she's got all the text messages, because that printout, she has it too. She could show us. She could say what's wrong, but she can't because it's defamation if she does. She doesn't want to get sued again because then ain't nobody hiring her. And then Trevor Bauer just fucking drag her again. But yeah, that bitch ruined $100 million. Yeah, why'd you settle? Yeah, and it's like, well, I mean, yes. Now, if she had gotten money, that would make sense why she settled, but... Mr. Otterpocket says legal costs were substantial. Oh, they would have been expensive at that point. And those attorneys, they saw the chance to go hunting because he's got a lot of money. So why not go for it? Va was saying that's her. Kipathics is flatter than a cutting board. Yes. Yes. Eric for $5 saying, for $5, thank you, Eric, is saying, Adnan went full jihad on that poor Korean girl, right? Maybe she did. I don't know. When the police fuck up the case, I don't know. I mean, it'd be nice if they didn't jerk it around and hide things, because then I wouldn't have to worry about whether or not they did that and focus on what he did or did not do. So, yeah, maybe he did it, but then why'd the police have to fuck it around? Some dude says, why the MLB really suspended him? Yeah, he was talking a lot of shit about how they were letting pitchers do a lot of cheating, and also he was criticizing the way the umpires were working and the administration on the MLB. Yeah, he was not favored, and this was a convenient way to go after him. So D's Nuts says Connick is trying so hard to make Alex sign a thing. Yeah, I don't get it, because he's got that fake, it sounds like he's drunk all the time, but it sounds like he's got some sort of speech disability or something, because he sounds like he's always drunk or about to cry. And it's like pimp on a blimp or blimp on a pimp or whatever. It's like, I still don't get that one. Yes, you're the Bay Stars. Yeah. Sorry, Max. Eric Foam says, isn't he a decent pitcher? He's a fucking phenomenal pitcher. He's an amazing pitcher. He won, he probably would have won a World Series by now had he been around. So, Mamasaurus Rex says he had a lot of money. Yeah, he still got enough money. Mr. Otterpox says someone can fix her. Well, I'm just saying, when the serial killer murders truck stop hookers, well, on the plus side, they're not hooking no more. Just saying. Oh, you guys are jeez. So you can't fix BPD. That's very true. Oh. Fair Frozen saying, do you think the realization is Lying Hill will give him another chance at the big league, or is he past his prime for that? I mean, he's still he could still pitch and be good, but why would you go back to that place that fucked you over like that? I mean, keep making money in Japan. Do Japanese commercials. I mean, why would you want to come back? They fucked you over and they're not even going to say sorry. So, yeah, there's no incentive. Now, could he, I mean, it's still 2 years he didn't get to perform here and kick ass. But he's still good. He's still in his prime. I mean, shit, how old is Trevor Bauer? He's 32. I mean, he's still more than capable. I mean, he's a pitcher. He's got a lot of tread on the tire still. But, those 2 years, and they're from 30 to 32, those are very good years he doesn't get back. That's his BPD is girltism. Yeah. 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 J-Rock says he's got a good 5 to 7 years left in him, at least. But, that 5 to 7 years should have been 7 to 9 years. He should have had those all in the MLB. Charlie's saying you should latch on any OnlyFans money she's going to try to make. He's settling and saying he's cutting his losses. So, yeah. The MLB won't ever admit they're wrong. I mean, he can play again because his suspension's over. But yeah, what team's going to take him and incur the wrath of the MLB? So. Max saying the Japanese NPB doesn't have the economics to afford MLB level compensation. Yeah, but he's, they'll pay him well, and if they'll keep loving him over there. Sounds like he's enjoying it there too. And he could be Mr. Baseball. Pepsi Man saying Trevor Bauer's actually a huge weeb, so it all works out in the end. Is he really? Oh my. Trying to Google see if he does a. Oh. Okay, this is kind of funny. It's kind of goofy, but here we go. Okay, so apparently Trevor Bauer was in a. This is Trevor Bauer in a baseball game. Shing. What a week. What a goober. Oh. He's saying, "I'll play for Japan in the Olympics and kick the MLB's ass." That would be funny. That would be funny. So, his YouTube channel is pretty. He's got a YouTube channel? No way. No way. Let's see here. Holy shit, he does. He's got his own. Damn, he does. I'm gonna have to like. This is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. Trevor Bauer's got a YouTube channel. Here you go. Yeah, interesting. I have to look at this. Have to look at that. That's pretty neat. Toothless says whatever they can't pay him in money, they pay him in Pansu. Yes, he actually is a very, very smart guy. And yes, he was studying mechanical engineering. Yes, he's a very, very smart guy. I remember, yeah, trust me, you got to learn all about him when he played for the Indians. Not the Guardians, the Indians. They'll always be the Indians. In fact, there's a, that's why how do I get rid of the label? That's the reason why there's a Chief Wahoo on that bucket down there in the corner. Never getting rid of him. Yeah, it's good numbers. That's why he doesn't have to go back. He has YouTube numbers. Oh. So. Yes, he had to pay his lawyers for that bro code, but that's what good lawyers do is they take care of the problems. Sadly, they can't fix them. So. Okay, moving on to, an update. I know we talked about the Kansas newspapers with the scumbag police department. Well, we found out something interesting. The police chief for the Kansas City, this little city in Kansas that went after the Marion County Record and signed a warrant against them, well, he's since resigned. So, and this was just days after he was suspended. So Chief Gideon Cody, I'm sure he's running away like the big bitch he is. So, Chief Cody, if you're seeing this you happen to know some family members who are watching this, you are a big floppy-dicked coward. And I'm not saying you have a big dick. I'm just saying you're a big, and you've got a floppy dick, and you're a coward. So probably like a little one flopping in the wind, they think like Hitler's penis, where couldn't even pee out of it. You peed out of the side of it. It's probably what you had to do. Because that's the type of guy who would go in and fake a search warrant to go after a newspaper. Just like that. So that'll be fun. It's funny, though, that the public announcement was initially reported by the newspaper he went after. Oh well, we'll find out more that happens. Hopefully, there's an indictment for this piece of shit in the future. But we will keep our eyes peeled. Saying hopefully his resignation is a shame. People like him have no shame. That's why they do what they do. That's why they do what they do. Anything goes says the police union will hold a party with cake for him. I don't think he has a union. This is a really little town. So when he worked for the Kansas City Police Department, they probably had a union. But even then, he had to leave there because it sounds like he was a little sketchy there. So, no, this is a very interesting situation that happened in Philadelphia lately. If you guys didn't see this. Where is here? Okay, yeah, here we go. Sorry. Had to grab it. So, this is from the New York Post. There was a motorcyclist out, and we're going to watch it because this is just really insane what happened here. And, it's actually better to go ahead and we're just going to do this because it actually is better to start off by watching, I think. So this is what happened in Philly a couple nights ago. And this is all covered by a drone. And once again, this is just a collection of assholes on motorcycles and four-wheelers, which, oh, we're so awesome. We're riding around on our bikes, blocking the roads. We're so rebel. We're so hardcore. So this guy on the bike right here ran into this car and hit it. And from here, things go on. Too bad he didn't break his legs or, slash an Achilles tendon or something very painful. But this is a car with two people up in the front and kids in the back seat. And too bad this lady doesn't have a gun. Now notice what just fell out of him right there. We'll talk about that real quick. Here we go. Yes, if you're thinking that's a gun, yes, it was. It was 100% his pistol. And this girl ain't taking no shit from him. Because watch her. I will give her credit. Even after that guy flashes peace and threatened her, she walks up to him and shoves him off his bike. That's pretty impressive. A lot of people wouldn't have the balls to do that. I love how this guy in the dirt bikes come over like, hey, why are you fighting him? Why are you fighting him? I love how his friends were like, well, he's just a nice boy. He didn't do nothing. Yeah, this is him here. The brave Cody. His name's Cody Herron. Look at him. So brave. So brave. So soy. So soy. He was charged with possession of an instrument of crime, reckless endangering people, and multiple counts of assault, which, good for him. So it's interesting, though, what happened to him here, because this is the actual bigger issue, I think. And this part I don't agree with. It's typically lenient Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner demanded extremely high bail. Now, this is the same Philly where pretty much everybody gets away with everything and they let people go for everything like that. So while this attack happened on Sunday night, he got arrested. And what happened for his extremely high bail? Well, how is that fair to everybody else? Why is this guy? He didn't kill anybody. I get that he threatened someone, but Why? Why is his bail set? Why are they seeking that high of a bail? What about the murderers that are out there? Why is that not, it's, I get it. The guy's an asshole. We don't like him, but a $2.5 million bail? I mean, because that's what it got set. It got set for $2.5 million. Because I didn't have it on there, but yes, the bail was set at $2.5 million. His violent, lawless behavior. I mean, okay, yes, it was violent and lawless, but he wasn't murdering nobody, and you don't seem to wrap those guys up too well. So, well, like I said, this guy deserves to be in jail, and he deserves to get smacked up for what he did, but a $2.5 million bail? Dude's out there murdering people, ain't getting that kind of bail out in Philly. So, yeah. So, I didn't see him pointing the gun at her, but maybe he threatened her with it. I'm not sure. And this part does suck. She was delivering for Uber Eats when the incident occurred. So it's like, is she going to tell those people, like, sorry, you got some glass in your pad thai. Please don't give me bad stars. I don't know how that one works, but yeah, I mean, somebody you'd like to see. Hopefully he gets too bad he didn't get shot and crap himself in a bag. But for right now, that's not going to happen. Not going to happen for right now. And also, Cheesy Terrian gifted 10 memberships. Thank you very much. And I'm sure whoever gets one is going to be thrilled. So, Jimmy's saying, I didn't see him point the gun at her on the video. Yeah, I think maybe he threatened her. Something happened. I don't know. Mr. Otter says his liberal parents rich. No. I don't know. Zero Fuck saying, do you know how much it costs to replace that glass? Not off the top of my head, but that's not the principle of it for the $2.5 million. Fair Frozen saying it's the gun bail. Even then, there's no way it's just that alone. Yes, Mr. K is pointing out he's white and his victims are black. Yeah, I mean, let's not spoil it. Yeah, the two kids are in the back seat in front of the window he smashed. Yep. D says she had kids in there. Yep. Justin says he got soft lips. He got a soft, or as a part of the meta discourse going on currently right now in a certain situation. He got a soft face. Got them soft eyes. Just like, no, he's got them soft eyes. Let's go, Brandon. Yes, just let's say it. He's white. Yes, he is. He's a fucking white male. Ninja Bread Man, I was able to time stamp your last stream, but probably can't do this one. Well, thank you for doing any of it. I appreciate it. 100% appreciate it. This CVR says I never win anything. And Charlie's saying with the membership to here on YouTube, you can do this. You can post, yes, you get the emojis, including the claw one and the Glock, the full auto Glock one, the switchy, but we're not allowed to show that one on here. Yeah, glass cheap, the doors are expensive, but yeah, it like he ran into the door. Maybe Krasner's playing a game here trying to say the court says bail is excessive, so he can't. That's actually not a bad idea. I mean, I could see that happening. I could see that maybe, but it's a lot of work because let's say the court upholds it, then you're like, fuck, now I gotta keep everybody in jail. Like, you have to be careful of that backfiring. Let's go, Brandon from 199. Thank you. Says, I'm gonna come. Don't come. Don't come. Ninja Brand message Glock check. See, can't do a Glock check here. Gotta wait. Gotta wait to locals. Can't do a Glock check on here. So, I was gonna get to the. That's actually it today, guys. I was gonna get to. I don't have enough time right now. I was gonna get to this. There was an update in the Biden, Missouri v. Biden case by the Fifth Circuit. Because the previous panel hearing, it's been granted, and they withdraw their previous opinion, which ultimately we'll get to the end of it because I'll give you guys kind of the down and dirty of it. There was a limit to what groups were being involved and the limits to that injunction. Basically, out of all the 10 parts, it was just limited to one of the provisions, and it was very limited to who was being involved. Okay. So, there's only so many people. So it basically removed the NAIAD people out of it. So basically it allowed only the people involved that were involved pretty much previously before. There's only so many things there. So we'll bring that up again at some point. But not tonight. Not tonight. Fairphones to stop streaming so you can go to get Glock check done quicker. Oh, we're working on that. Moffolk says, what about on Rumble? Well, I could do it on Rumble, but I'm not gonna stop here because I don't think I can just end it on here. How do I end it on? I gotta figure out how to do that anyway. Gotta ask Nick or Viva Fry or somebody how they do that shit. Or even Scott. I'll ask Scott tomorrow. Rabbit One says for $5, thank you. Thank you for the support. Saying, hey Sean, I've been banned from replies to YouTube videos for 24 hours. Can you see this? Yes, I can see this. Apparently, I'm not allowed to watch Patrick Bet David and call Culture Trans. Well, I mean, remember, her and Keith Feldman were involved together doing the hippity dippity at some point. So, it says a lot about the two of them. Could only imagine. So, oh. Carrie says, I hate you, Sean. A long line for those. That's a long line of people. Try saying I saw something Biden kicked one of his dogs. He probably does. Kicks his dogs, molests his granddaughters. I mean, it's probably, you wouldn't be surprised a guy does that if he does some of it. So with that being said, everybody, that is it for tonight. Under 2 hours. That's always my goal. Try to get it done in 2 hours. We are wrapped up here. I want to say hi to everybody again. Thank you for if you've been watching on Kick, Rumble, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and everybody here on YouTube. Guys, I appreciate all your comments. They make they make it fun because otherwise I'd just be screaming out into the darkness and that'd be kind of boring after a while. So I also do want to thank everybody who sent a super chat. I always appreciate the support. Everybody at the membership, I appreciate its support. And also everybody on locals, I appreciate your support there. I will say, in addition, we are going straight over to locals right after this to have the after show. We get to hang out and yeah, we'll see what happens from there. If you guys want to join, once again, it is over at potentiallycriminal.locals.com and you can get 1 month free with the promo code criminal. You guys can come and hang out. The stream is fun. Basically, it's done just like this. We're talking about stuff. I can put it up on screen, all the fun things there. So once again, yeah, potentiallycriminal.locals.com. Go in here at the bottom. 1 month free with the code criminal. And I will see you guys there. So should be a fun week. And yeah, if there is something on Monday, I'll figure it out. If it is, we're going to cover it. And until next time, guys, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. Good night, everybody.